What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, we got some interesting news. As legendary promoter, top-ranked CEO Bob Arum, he states that he has no interest in winning any purse bids. That including his number one prize fighter underneath his stable, undefeated 3-division world champion, undisputed junior welterweight world champion, currently the WBO welterweight world champion, who is widely considered the number one pound-for-pound fighter in the world, Terence Bud Crawford. Bob Arum, he states that he is willing to allow his lightweight unified world champion, undefeated superstar boxer Teofimo Lopez and George Kambosos Jr. go to a purse bid. And he also previously stated that he would not mind allowing Terence Crawford against any PBC, Premier Boxing Champions fighter, with founder and advisor Al Heyman, who deals with Fox and Showtime. He don't mind allowing Terence Crawford to lose a purse bid as well, which could ultimately see Terence Crawford, who has a mandatory challenger in number one WBO ranking mandatory challenger, two-time welterweight world champion, superstar boxer, Showtime Shawn Porter, to go to a purse bid. Because he said if he guarantees Shawn Porter $1 million purse with incentives on the back end, then ESPN and Top Rank won't mind picking it up. But Bob Arum is stating that due to the current climate of the global pandemic and money being at a short, he's not willing to overpay anybody at this current time. He stated that ESPN, they gave Top Rank a budget of $84 million per year, and he's not looking to go ahead and waste it and lose money on any fight, that including Terence Crawford versus Shawn Porter. We know that Terence Crawford's trainer and manager, Brian McIntyre, he stated that he was informed that Showtime Shawn Porter has indeed visited Bob Arum on numerous occasions this past week. He's informed the WBO that he's willing to activate his mandatory position and face Terence Crawford. He wants the challenge, and he stated that, this being Shawn Porter, that Terence Crawford is his number one objective moving forward and getting the belt from Terence Crawford. He says that would be the most exciting fight. He just recently, that being Shawn Porter, did another interview in which he stated that him versus Terence Crawford is one of the biggest fights, if not the biggest fight in the welterweight division. So he stated that he definitely feels comfortable saying it's one of the biggest fights in the welterweight division. So he's looking and focused on fighting Terence Crawford. He's back training. He says that he don't want to sit on the sidelines anymore and watch Terence Crawford and Errol Spence fight as he commentates the fight. He says he wants to be included in the fight. He understands that people are clamoring to see Terence Crawford versus versus undefeated, unified WBC, IBF welterweight world champion, superstar boxer Errol the True Spence Jr. He says, but he's not ready to sit on the sidelines. He's a commentator now, right? And he's a boxing pundit as well. He has a podcast, the Porterway podcast, and he stated that he's not willing to sit on the sideline and just witness these guys go into these big fights. He says that he's still good enough. He's still young enough. And he believes that he made a statement against Errol Spence, even though he didn't get the win, as he stated. He said, I didn't get the win against Errol Spence, but I faced the best, and I thought I made a statement. Some people thought I won the fight. Some people thought I lost the fight. But he definitely feels like his skill set matches up with Terence Crawford's skill set. And he states that that's a fight that he definitely wants. He feels like he could beat Terence Crawford. And then he wants that rematch with Errol Spence Jr. It ended with Errol Spence Jr., the knockdown in the 11th round. And then he clearly won the 12th round, in my opinion. That's what separated Errol Spence in that Terence Crawford fight. So he stated that he gets the belt from Terence Crawford, then everybody's going to be clamoring for a rematch between him and Errol Spence Jr. And it could possibly be for undisputed should Errol Spence Jr. go into a unification bout with now newly sole WBA welterweight world champion, star Cuban boxer Yordenis Ugas, who, after 8-division world champion, legendary, iconic Filipino superstar boxer Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao was relieved of the WBA title due to inactivity, they elevated Yordenis Ugas, who was the WBA regular champion. They elevated Yordenis Ugas to now the full champion, the super champion, the sole WBA champion in the 147-pound division. So everybody immediately assumed that we're going to get Errol Spence versus Yordenis Ugas. As Yordenis Ugas, he stated that, his next fight is going to be for 3 belts on the line. Well, in order for his next fight to have 3 belts on the line, he would have to face Errol Spence Jr. because he's the only guy in the division with 2 belts, okay? Ugas has 1 belt, Crawford has 1, and he has 2. So with that said, Shawn Porter got a split decision victory. Errol Spence got a split decision victory over Shawn Porter. Now, Errol Spence, he just recently beat Danny Garcia via unanimous decision, and it seems like he's on the verge of fighting Yordenis Ugas in another unification bout. After that, obviously, Errol Spence stated that he wanted to be undisputed at welterweight before he exits the division, and he definitely wants to fight Terence Crawford before he exits the division as well. So with that said, Shawn Porter sees an opportunity where if he beats Terence Crawford, he'll become a WBO champion. Then Errol Spence is going to be highly favored to beat Yordenis Ugas. Styles make fights. I think that Errol Spence is just too versatile for Yordenis Ugas, or Yordenis Ugas doesn't have enough power to keep Errol Spence at bay. So I definitely believe Errol Spence is going to win the fight. And then Shawn Porter versus Errol Spence was an exciting fight of the year candidate. And with that said, it was a split decision victory for Errol Spence. So now all the marbles will be on the line. It'll be for undisputed. With that said, this fight between Shawn Porter can have an advantage in a sense, right? Because the fight could possibly take place on Fox or on Showtime, as Bob Arum stated that if PBC, they go to a purse bid and they're accountable for this fight for Shawn Porter, then he will allow it. And ESPN is not going to fight to make the fight happen on ESPN. So he's stating that if Errol Spence and Terence Crawford and Shawn Porter come to an agreement, they go to a purse bid and somehow Bob Arum or somebody else wins the purse bid, and the fight is on Fox or Showtime, Bob Arum is not opposed to it. He says, again, he reiterates, just as he stated with George Kambosos and Teofimo Lopez. He stated that if PBC, Fox, Matchroom, Eddie Hearn, they win the purse bid and they take it to DAZN, Showtime, or Fox, he's not opposed to that. He said it's not going to be the end of the world. So with that said, he's reiterating the same sentiments when it comes to Terence Crawford and Shawn Porter. Now, if it comes down to Terence Crawford and Errol Spence, that's an entirely different story. Bob Arum stated that that's a fight, that's a huge fight. That's a fight that ESPN definitely would pick up, and that's a fight that they want to back, meaning the top rank. So he believes that that's the only fight. That's the biggest fight that can be made. He doesn't think that Shawn Porter is worth more than $1 million guaranteed. He doesn't see Keith Thurman, former unified WBC, WBA welterweight world champion superstar boxer. He doesn't see him and Terence Crawford as a big fight. So he says if they go to a purse bid, he's stated this before. He said if Keith Thurman could find a promoter to put up the money and fit the bill for him and Terence Crawford, he would buy a ticket and sit ringside and watch them lose money. So he says that he's not willing to lose money on Terence Crawford and Shawn Porter fight, so he'll allow it to go to a purse bid, and ultimately he's not going to put up any challenge to force the fight to happen on ESPN, and he be accountable for it. So essentially, he's saying that he'll allow Al Heyman and the PBC to win the purse bid and take the fight to Showtime or Fox, whatever network they so choose to have it on. With that said, what's interesting about this is that Terence Crawford is going to be a free agent in October. So this is a one-fight deal. This is not the same situation he has with Teofimo Lopez. He has Teofimo Lopez signed for 3.5 years. He doesn't have that situation with Terence Crawford anymore. Terence Crawford will be a free agent in October. So if this fight goes to a purse bid and they win the purse bid, essentially this could be his last fight even being involved with a fight with Terence Crawford. But I don't believe Bob Arum is opposed to that. I don't think that, Bob Arum has an issue with that, because Bob Arum stated on numerous occasions now that he's washed his hands of Terence Crawford. He says he leaves it up to Todd DeBuff. his son-in-law to handle business with Terence Crawford. So he says if it was up to him, he would let Terence Crawford walk. So with that said, we could have possibly seen Terence Crawford's last fight on ESPN with the fight he just had with Kell Brook, because depending upon when this fight takes place, let's say this fight takes place in, let's say, July between Shawn Porter and Terence Crawford. Well, the next time he fight is more than likely not going to be until October, November. So if he waits until, November, then he'll be, out of a contract with Top Rank anyway, and possibly could be heading over to the PBC or just being a free agent. So we got to see how this unfolds and plays out. But this would be a huge fight, in my opinion. It's a huge fight for the boxing fans. It's just not a huge fight in the eyes of Bob Arum, ESPN, and they're willing to allow this fight to go and take place on a whole nother network. Well, that just tells Terence Crawford how highly they think of him. But that's all I got for y'all, man. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notification. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, or one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shouts out to the entire LDBC. Shouts out to New Media. Shouts out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share the videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.